Is your tax person overworked and underpaid? Welcome to Retirement Revealed. I'm your host, Jeremy Keil, and we're here to turn your retirement savings into retirement income. Today, we're talking with Randy Crabtree with a behind the scenes look at the accounting industry and how you can get the most out of your relationship with your tax preparer. Randy, welcome to the show.
Jeremy, thank you. A pleasure to be here.
You got it. And of course, I asked that first, is your tax person overworked and underpaid? I'm just going to ask you, what do you think? We'll just paint the entire picture of tax preparers. How does it look out there?
It is very common that they're overworked and underpaid in general. It's somewhat of a self-induced problem with our profession. People give away their services way too often and undervalue what they're given to the taxpayer. And so they have this mindset in our profession of help. We want to help everybody. And we often forget to help ourselves. So yeah, you're right on point there, that probably underpaid and overworked.
And why we're talking about this right now is it's the end of the year. You're thinking of, I've got to get my taxes done kind of next year. That's a next year problem. But oftentimes I hear about it of I'm hearing my tax person doesn't call me back. They're missing things and stuff along those lines. But I had two kind of stories that popped up to me recently why I wanted to bring you on, just get this
Sure.
behind the scenes look. One of them, someone I work out with is an accountant, and I'm going to get the numbers wrong. If he's listening, I'm sorry, I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but maybe that's helping me anonymize it anyways. But he was telling me basically I can handle about 600 tax returns per year, which that sounds like a huge amount of tax returns
It
to
is.
begin with. And then he says, right now I'm at about 850. So he can handle about 600, but just the way it works is that he's at about 850. And I think the reason why is, like you said, he's a helper type of person, which is wonderful. But if you're a helper type of person where you're just overworked and underpaid, that's not helping anybody, especially maybe himself, which is interesting. Another story that came to mind is we had it where a client of ours turned out that he was getting his statements, his tax returns electronically, like his tax forms from the brokerage accounts electronically, where he wasn't before. And his tax person didn't notice it. He didn't notice it. I didn't notice it because I'm not preparing his tax returns. And so I talked to the tax person, and the guy basically said to me, well, I don't get paid enough to actually kind of notice that stuff, which sounds horrible, but is kind of honest, like refreshingly honest. So good, I guess, in a way for him. So that's why I wanted to, that's our intro to why we're bringing Randy on here. Get the behind the scenes look of how do we make this relationship with your tax preparer a better one? What should you expect out of it? And maybe if you're an accountant listening, what's Randy's advice to make life better and help out clients even more? So
Yep.
before we get to all that, just tell us about yourself, how you got to where you are.
Sure. So I was born in 1960. Oh, wait, not that far back.
There you go.
Um, I so I am a CPA. Makes sense, I guess, since we're talking about this. I was your traditional firm owner for quite a while, but in 06, I basically sold my firm and I started a specialty tax firm, which is called Trimerit. And I deal with tax preparers, CPAs around the country because we support them with different types of tax credits and incentives, and so that's what I'm doing today. We've built a nice firm. We were for the second straight year listed on Inc. magazine's 5,000 fastest growing privately held companies in the U.S. And yeah, it's been a fun run. We save people lots of money with what we do. So so I'm still in the tax business. I'm just not your traditional taxpayer preparer like I used to be.
Well, and what you did is you went from a general tax preparer to a specialty tax preparer. You're kind of doing tax things for other tax preparers in a way, like they're reaching out to you, which is interesting. For some reason, I think a lot of times with financial advisors or tax people, right? We'll just go with that term for right now. A consumer, you might be thinking, I just find the person down the street. But when it comes to a doctor, right? You always want the best doctor in the one specific area. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on why people are thinking this way, where they don't realize the specialty need of
Yep.
either an accountant or a financial advisor?
Yeah, and I think partly it's our problem. I think partly we've always been, someone goes out and starts a firm. I started an accounting firm. What's the goal I have in mind? I want clients. And I
Mhm.
don't really have a game plan that I want, I want small businesses less than $5 million that are family owned, that are in the service industry. We don't think that way. We don't think niche, like you said earlier. We think, let's get clients, let's get clients, let's get clients. And then if I start to feel financially, comfortable, then maybe we can start to branch out into a niche. So I think that's part of the problem. I don't think we market ourselves correctly, because there's so, people, you even said it, you think tax, you just think tax. There is so much variety within tax. I can be a, international tax practitioner. I could be a state and local tax expert. I can be a tax credit incentive. I can be small business. I can be individual. I can be partnership S corp. I could be a specialist in restaurant industry, in dealing with people that are in retirement or nearing retirement. I can have all these different niches. And so I think that's extremely important. But as from the consumer standpoint, the user, the taxpayer, I think that's one thing that you really should look for. Somebody that is specializing in whatever your situation is. And for a lot of your listeners, it's going to be people that have, are preparing, have prepared, are in retirement or almost in retirement. And there's unique aspects to those tax returns. So that's what I would suggest. If you're looking for somebody to help you, make sure it is somebody that understands your situation.
Yeah, and there's a difference between you can do it, right?
Yep.
And really, are you an expert in that? For example, in the just kind of in the news lately, the student loan, um, I don't, I don't want to say debacle, but I just did. But the whole student loan situation
Yes.
is out there, and I get questions sometimes. Most of my clients are basically 62 years old, getting ready for retirement, but they've got their kids to think of. They might even still have some student loans
Right.
themselves from when they helped out their kids earlier. And when they're asking me student loan questions, which happens every so often, I just send them directly to a friend of mine because he only works with student loan planning. I just actually sent an email to my email list, 3,300 people I sent an email to saying, if you have student loan questions, because we are getting more of them with all the news, I said, just call Eric, because
Yep.
here he is directly. I get no, there's no affiliate referral thing. I just want them to get the right stuff out there, because every bit of information about student loans that goes into my brain is taking up space that could have been used on lowering retiree taxes or Social Security or Medicare
Yep.
or something like that.
Nope. I
At the
agree
same
with
time,
that.
most people I talk to are, you get some 1099s, you get your Social Security statements every year. It's not terribly too difficult, right? But you want to get it right. So how should you go about looking for a tax person? Should you be looking for in a tax person in that situation?
So one, just somebody that knows, what the position you're in. But two, I look for somebody that I would highly recommend looking for somebody that is not a reporter. They're not going to just talk to you in January, February, March and report what happened last year, because they can affect nothing at that
Mhm.
point. All they can do is show what happened, report it, and that's what they are. They're just a reporter of what occurred. I would rather look for somebody that's going to meet with me on a consistent basis, whether that's, it doesn't, monthly's often, quarterly is decent depending on your situation, at least once a year, where they're going to be able to affect that tax return. They're going to do some tax planning that's going to reduce the tax burden you have. And there's things you can do, even just figuring out when you're going to take money out of a 401k, or timing issues with money. And so look for somebody that wants to build that relationship with you, that is personally involved in you. And like I said, it's not going to be the cheapest person out there, but they're going to be able to show you the value of what they're bringing to you, and being, rather than being transactional, okay, here's your tax return, pay me $500, it's going to be, here's what we did for you this year. And they're going to know your family situation, and they're going to know what's going on, and they're going to be actively involved in making sure that you're in the best situation possible. So that's what I mean, depends on people's situation. If you're just comfortable with somebody reporting what happened and you don't think you need planning, I personally think you're wrong. But if that's what you want, go ahead and do it. But if you really want to get a value out of a tax professional, I would look for somebody that is more actively involved in what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting too. A lot of people I work with are engineers, even accountants themselves. They're smart people, and so they think I can do this myself. And so I do actually run into a situation too where a lot of people want to do the taxes on their own, and I encourage you not to do that. Right? At least maybe once. Right? If you switch over to your retired or something changed in your life, maybe just skip a year, like invest the couple $100, whatever it might be, to at least have a professional do it the one time. I've seen it so many times where you're doing your social security calculation wrong and you're paying extra taxes. You're doing your capital gains wrong and you're paying extra taxes on there. These are both examples of clients that used to do it on their own that I
Yep.
finally convinced when I saw the missteps. And they're smart people. How can but there's thousands of lines. There's so many things to look at on there. And it's interesting how you said when you're looking for it, it's not necessarily going to be the cheapest person. I'm looking at a website for a friend of mine that runs some accounting, and he puts right on the website that his average tax fee last year was $155. That's the reporting style of it, where you bring in your stuff and his team actually files the just returns, just takes the info in and files it. And he does that because that's what most people are wanting. When you're walking in, you're thinking usually, how do I get out of here as fast as I can? How do I pay the least amount of money to the tax person that I can? And he highly encourages you, well, I'll do this, but you're probably better off if I do my other service, which is more like $500 or $600, where he reviews things quarterly and it meets with you ahead of time and takes a lot more time to do it. And he's just surprised of how many people they're walking in and he's like, will you please just take the time to actually go and do the things that are better for you? And that's probably more of a accurate description of closer to $500-600 to
Yep.
get it done right, as opposed to 150, 100, 200 where it gets done. But at least you go out and have a professional look at it. And like he mentions to me that he's open year round. A lot of tax preparers are more part-time, not necessarily open year round. I think a full-time open year round is at the minimum where to start looking at.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. Somebody that and your buddy sounds like, he has the idea, right? Let's do this advisory. The buzzword in the profession is
Mhm.
advisory. Right now, we're going to do the advisory services where we, affect the tax return. 150 for a tax return is really, really cheap. Um,
Yeah. Yep. It's very
um,
cheap. I keep telling him he charges too little.
yes.
But I think he just likes the idea that there's maybe two services and able to make a living off of
So,
those
so
two.
we need to talk to your buddy about the psychology of pricing, because there's other ways where he can actually increase that 150 while still giving people options. And
Yeah, and give him more capability of getting it done even better.
yep.
All right. We'll send over a coaching agreement for you there. Which is interesting and why we're talking almost like inside baseball about the accounting profession. I'm also a member of the WICPA, so the Wisconsin Institute of CPAs, and I read their magazines. I'm at their meetings, and the big thing right now is just what the industry is going through, which is basically there's no new accountants coming in. Everyone's retiring, and no one is coming as an accountant. So this idea of your tax preparer is overworked and underpaid, which means you're not getting the calls back, and you're maybe not getting the full service of what life should look like when you're doing your taxes is probably going to get worse. So just tell me more. What's going on in the accounting profession, and how does that affect us regular folks?
Yeah, it's definitely, so it's the accounting profession, but in reality, this is going to be in every possession or every profession issue going forward. We actually I was in a conference last week, and our population is in the country is going to be and is going down. So we don't even have enough people coming in to replace the people that are retiring, just from a birth standpoint. I think
Mhm.
they said the statistics were 1.7 per a couple. And
Mhm.
so, you know, if you're not replacing that couple, that's going down. But for us, it's been quicker in the profession, and there's a couple reasons for that. And then I'll tell you how this is going to affect us. But the reasons are, the accounting profession is a great profession, but the perception is, you know, you burn and churn through people because you're working 80 hours a week. In tax season, you never leave the office, and you don't have time to talk to anybody. And unfortunately, that's somewhat reality at some firm levels, but it's also, fortunately, a misconception at other levels. And so because of that, though, enrollment in the accounting schools in accounting majors has gone down significantly. In fact, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal today, specifically today, talking about this and how far down enrollment has been. And so what that's going to do for us as consumers, let's say, of tax services, is just going to get harder and harder to find somebody to help us. And that's why I think the ones that are going to, from an accounting standpoint, now we got the taxpayer standpoint, but from the accountant standpoint, the ones that are going to be successful, the ones that are going to be sought after, are those ones that I was talking about, that are actually, you know, more in the relationship model of running a business rather than a transactional model of running the business. So I that would be, I guess, another reason to try to build that relationship with your tax preparer now, because unfortunately, we are somewhat crisis mode already, and it's just going to get worse. In fact, I hosted a conference a month ago where a big theme at the conference was, how do we be better? How do we figure out ways to attract more people into the profession? How do we show people that this really is not the, for lack of a better term, the nerd with the pocket protector sitting over their desk nonstop. That's not what we are. It's a very fun profession. And so my whole goal was just to try to show that, yes, the perception is not reality. And we're going to continue to do that conference on an annual basis. And it went over extremely well. So I know there's a lot of smart people trying to change things in the profession, trying to do all these things we talked about. And I am optimistic that we are going to get over this hump of the lack of people coming into the profession. Because 15 years ago, enrollments were way up. I mean, now the last 3 years, they're way down. So hopefully it's just a cyclical thing. We'll see.
Yeah, and well, if it's not a cyclical thing, it's just going to keep getting worse in terms of the workload on your tax
Yes.
preparer. And of course, you want to have it done correctly. You want to have it done on time. But I got a strong feeling that from the tax preparer side, you might be thinking, why do our clients, why do they not do these things? Why do they make my life hard? So let's just make everyone's life easier. Coming from the tax preparer side, what do you want that taxpayer client to know? What can we do to make tax season better for the tax preparer, so it just makes the whole experience better for the whole tax return season?
Yeah, it's don't be afraid of technology be involved in the whole process, because the well-run tax preparers are already integrating technology from a standpoint of data collection, data distribution. You can actually start to integrate your financial financial investment statements straight into tax software. Their W-2s can come straight into software. A good preparer should ask you to be able to get information to them that way. So once you start working with them, be organized, have your data. The worst thing for a tax preparer is to have to follow up 3 times during tax season to ask for more data, because there is no time to do that. And so if the follow-up, more and more tax preparers are having that follow-up be automated, that's helping them save time. Do not call your tax advisor, your tax preparer during tax season. It's just not the time. They don't have time to answer that. Send an email, they'll follow up later, get the automated. But the biggest thing is just understand that they are overworked, like we said at the beginning. hopefully not underpaid. Understand fees are going to be going up, and they have been going up, and they'll continue to go up. And do as much as you can to minimize the contact. If they need to contact you, they will. If not, that's that. I would say just wait and know they're not going to, and know that they will file your return. The worst call is someone calls, "Did you file my return yet?" You'll know when your return's filed. They don't have time for that call. So not to sound like I'm complaining, but I hear from the preparers all the time the things that bother them. And those are a few of them.
That's interesting. That's funny. I did interesting. I have a couple other ones to add in there. One of them is don't be afraid of extensions. It
No,
seems
not at all.
like your average taxpayer says, I got to get this done by April 15th. Well, now it seems like there's always a couple extra days now beyond April 15th. I think you're just better off automatically file an extension and then let your tax preparer do this in June or July. Yeah, I think they're better off. I think you're better off. Just don't be afraid of filing extensions. You feel like there's a penalty for filing extensions. You get a free 6 months to look at it. Of course, your taxes were due on April 15th.
Exactly.
But most of the time you're getting a refund. I think it's worthwhile to let the refund sit there for a month or two so that you and your tax preparer can have just take a breath while you're doing your taxes.
I agree completely. I am not, there's a lot of tax preparers though that are the issue with that too, because they don't want to work after April 15th, but they're also the ones that are burnt out, on April 1st because they've just been so many hours on. I am a proponent of extend everybody, and your tax preparer should set deadlines too. Hey, if you don't have everything to them by February 15th, you're going on extension, even though it's 2 months ahead of time. You're going on. That's all it is. Or maybe that's a little early, but March 1st, let's say you're going on extension. And they'll still look at it and make sure you're overpaid, because if you are underpaid, you just said it, you still need to pay that by April 15th, and they'll put an estimate in. But as long as you are overpaid on April 15th, you can file it all the way until October 15th.
Yep. I think the other one is ask for a draft return ahead of time. It seems like the taxpayer, right? Yeah, you give your info to the tax person too late. The tax person gets it done too late, and all you care about is let me just sign here, get out of the office as soon as I can. No, there's things that are likely wrong because you both took a little too little amount of time on it, and there's things you can probably do even by April 15th, right? By the time your taxes are done, there's traditional IRA contributions. There are HSA contributions. There are 529 contributions. There are things you can look at and do, and kind of looking at the return before you click the button to submit it is really helpful. Just to take a day just to look at it and compare it to a prior year. So I think those two bits of info, don't be afraid to file an extension. Almost make it your default sometimes, and then take a look at your taxes before you file it. It's not let me go pick up my taxes. It's let me go review my taxes. That's the way it ought to be before you hit the hit the submit button.
Yep, and I would what you just said, I would, rather than pick up your taxes, it's going to be electronic. It should be electronic.
Yes,
because you showing up to pick up that tax return is just another time. And I'm just saying what I hear.
Yeah.
But they love seeing you. They love the relationship. They don't like seeing you on April 12th or whatever. And so you going to pick up a tax return is just a time that they don't have. And so, do everything that you possibly can electronically, because seconds mean a lot to a tax preparer during tax season.
Good. Well, you've given us some great advice, some insider baseball, behind the scenes look at the accounting profession, which I hope is just helping you to learn more about how to get a better experience when you're filing your taxes. And here we are, end of the year. You've got a month or two to kind of get ready for this system again and have a better experience for it. I've got one more question for you, Randy, but before that, tell us what's the best way to reach out to you?
So I'm on LinkedIn, Randy Crabtree on LinkedIn. You can see me there, or our website, which is try-merit, merit.com. So one of the two places you can find me.
That's great. And of course, if you'd like more ideas on how to avoid big retirement mistakes, go ahead right now, click that subscribe button, or comment below your questions or topics, things that you're you're looking forward to get out of the Retirement Revealed podcast. All right, Randy, final question. Tell us something about yourself that few people know about. And remember, this podcast is rated clean.
Well, maybe a lot of people know this, but it's a unique, I think, thing. There's two. Can I answer two things?
Let's go for it.
All right. First off, is I'm a partner in one of the highest regarded craft beer bars in the world, which is called the Beer Temple in Chicago, which is a side little fun thing that I do. I shouldn't say side little fun thing. It's a big business, but I enjoy it. And number two, people that know me know this, but people that meet me don't. And I'm very fortunate that they don't know this when they meet me, is that I'm a stroke survivor. And from that standpoint, I am fully functional. I have no deficits. I am so fortunate from that, but it is a big part of who I am.
Yeah. I think I was reading your bio that you do quite a bit with fundraising and, promotion of stroke awareness and how to react if you're in that situation.
Yep.
Since we're talking about it, I think there's are there 4 letters, good 4 letters that go with stroke system. I assume you know them. Let's go through it.
Yep, FAST. So the acronym FAST, and it stands for face. If someone's face, let's say one side is drooping, that's a sign they're having a stroke. Arms, A is arms. If you have somebody hold up their arms and one arm will drop, that's a sign they're having a stroke. S is for speech. Someone having a hard time speaking, slurring, or can't speak, that's another sign they're having a stroke. And T is for time to call 911. That's the biggest tool you have in your toolbox, is get that person to the hospital. And that's what really helped me. I was the hospital fast. Let me add one thing to that. There's a new acronym out there that's added. They've added B to the beginning. B fast, BE. And so now the B fast is balance. Someone's balance is off. That's a sign. And E is for eyes. Their vision is something's going on with the vision. That's another sign. So balance and eyes is a new one they've added to the acronym.
Okay. Well, appreciate that, because that was new to me. So I knew FAST, but B fast is even better.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming on, Randy. Thanks for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you, Jeremy. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. And thank you for listening to the Retirement Reveal podcast. We believe if you know more about your money, you will feel better about your money and you will make better money decisions.